Welcome to the Turn Turd Academy. There'll be some of you won't see your video because I made some mistakes. Better luck next time. See you next week. We have two white lines. The bottom one is the swing plane based on the club shaft that's set up. The top white line is the line that the shoulder should turn on. That's parallel to the club shaft. The red line is the spine angle. Let's watch the takeaway. What you'll see here is he's taking the club back so far to the inside, creates an overly flat swing plane. The club head should stay outside the hands much longer. I'd like to see the club head go up and maybe even above the bottom white line a little bit on the way back. This is more of an approach angle right here for the driver rather than the takeaway angle. What happens is it gets cut takeaway so flat that he ends up stuck back here on the bottom line. I'd like to see the lead arm and the trail shoulder up on the white line, the top white line, so that the lead arm is parallel to the swing plane instead of flat like it is there. What he's creating is a pretty tough way to get back to the golf ball efficiently. He's going to swing back with quite a bit of power, but a little over the top of it. Notice how far his head has lifted. The reason his head went up is because his shoulders didn't turn on the line. If he'd have turned his shoulders down this way, obviously he couldn't have stood up at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down over the top a little bit. It does get back to the plane pretty good. Makes a pretty good strike. Now on the way through, if I get rid of the green line, you can see the shoulders are turning on the way through on the swing plane. Then on the way back, I'd like to see him balance that out. I'd like to see a swing that's more symmetrical. This one is a tough one to analyze. She starts out in a pretty good position. Hands are probably a little high, but it's kind of a single plane setup, which isn't too bad. Takeaway is where the issue occurs. He kicks the club back by keeping the lead hand underneath the golf club. See how shut the club is? Now, at this point right now, the club should still be in the same position it was at setup in relationship to her arms, hands, and body, but you can see it isn't. If that club was at that angle at setup, it would be pointing directly into the ground. So what's happened here, see how the lead hand has rolled underneath the golf club? It's not under the golf club at setup. It's to the side. It needs to stay to the side of the swing. So the hands work together. That will allow her to have her right elbow down closer to her spine angle. Spine angle, as we can see, is right there. I'd like to see that elbow down so that that forearm of the right hand is parallel to that. What's going to happen is she's going to come down way out over this, and look how shut the face is. And off to the left the ball's going to go because how quickly the face is to the left. And then she's out of balance. One of the keys to an effective golf swing is to make sure the club is able to do what it's designed to do. The design of the golf club means that the face of the golf club or the head of the golf club should be rotating around the golf shaft. The head's sitting out pretty far. If you look out here, see how the head is way out past the shaft. There's a nice angle there. That needs to rotate. If it's moving, it should be turning. So if she goes back, again, there's no rotation. That club is not moving. So she's going to get a little stuck, and then on the way down, what's going to happen is her right hand is going to come way outside and high, and she's going to pull the ball hard to her right. So if we can get her to set up just a little bit differently, drop the hands down so they're at this, what we call the 144-degree angle. 144-degree angle. That would allow her to rotate the club as she's rotating her body and her hands. Then as she goes back, she's able to rotate that toe up, so the toe is not up, and then over-rotates it on the way through because it's set so close, and off to the right it's going to go. a tough one too. We have here a brand new golfer, and he's struggling because sometimes he hits the ball pretty well and sometimes he doesn't, probably like the rest of us. But for this golfer, I think it's very clear what the issue is. The issue for him is rhythm and tempo, and I'm going to say tempo first. Sometimes he gets too quick. When he gets too quick, everything happens out of sequence. Let's just go ahead and watch this swing. We'll watch it in slow motion. Mechanically, it's pretty good. And the result is pretty good. When he swings, and he explains that it's swinging harder, trying to hit the ball harder, ideally we'd like to return the golf club head back to the golf ball from under the red line I'm drawn in here. What you'll see happening here, we'll do it in slow motion, stays pretty good on the red line and then goes way up over the top of it, over the top swing, comes from the outside. What leads the swing then into the ball is the hosel, or the heel of the club. I'm going to get the red line out of the way. So you can see the club face is pointing dead right. The heel is coming in. And that's where she's going to hit the ball right in on the heel of the club. That's what's leading the swing. Puts her out of position. She really has no choice. You have to be able to bring the club in from this angle. Does that make sense? We want to swing from inside to out, not from outside to in. What this golfer's going to do is she's going to start from a pretty good setup. Maybe the hands are a little too far away from her thighs, but it's all right as long as she maintains the width in the swing. We're going to put the club back into it. She's moving so much up and down that it's virtually impossible to come back to the same spot. If we're going to try to pivot around this line, we have to be able to do that with our, now obviously she's not pivoting around it, she's lifting up and out of it. The club is way flat, way behind her, it's not going parallel. Look how she stood up almost completely straight up and down, and then she's trying to dive back down. Everything gets lower than it was and smashes the club into the ground and bounces over the ball. We have to maintain the angles that we set it at setup. So we're going to maintain this angle, we're going to maintain this angle, we're going to maintain this angle, we're going to maintain this angle. Now watch. All of those are gone away. Everything changed. In order to have a smooth swing, we have to have a smooth axis to swing around. Look at this setup, and you'll see a problem that a lot of amateur golfers have, probably even most. You have a nice straight line on this side. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be. Only the other side should be a straight line. We should have a straight line here. So the shoulder, everything is tilted away from the target. What's going to happen is on the takeaway, he's going to sway off that line. Now is where he should be. It's set up right about there. He sways way off the line. Notice he's moving quite a bit. So now he's got to fight his way back to the golf ball, and he doesn't quite get there. He just kind of squats. And there's no lower body action at all. See how it's all locked up? Let's get rid of the white line so you can see it more clearly. See how the club head is still open, not rotating at all, locked. It's got no lower body action at all. We have to get that lower body moving, right knee to left, right hip over here. Just move. We rotated the upper body fine, but we swing the club from the ground up, not from the top down. This is a setup flaw we see in a lot of amateur golfers. They set up with the trail side flat and the lead side with a bend in it. I'd like to see the lead side like that. The lead shoulder should be back over the lead knee and hip. It shouldn't be in an arc like that. What's going to happen is in his takeaway, in order to be able to rotate it all, he's going to get there. He's going to do it by sliding off. See how the head's moved? There's where he should be at setup. If he's there at setup, he's going to be in a great position. But because he slid off, now he's got to figure out how to get back. And you see, look at the golf shaft. And look at the face of the club. It's almost pointing directly at the camera. That means the right hand is underneath the golf club. That's clear everything out of the way. I have to say this to a lot of my students. You got to have the palm of the right hand at the ground, the back of the left hand at the ground. Notice this is just the opposite. You can see the palm straight up in the air. Straight up, still up in the air. The palm was up in the air. Finally pulls it over, but he can't get any extension because of that. He's already hit the ball, and unfortunately he's going to hit it with a fairly open face. It's going to go real high, because the more open the face is, the higher the ball is going to be hit, because there's more loft. You can see he's hitting it way on the top of the head too, and often weakly to the right it goes, and he's stuck. He got no rotation here, and instead of ending up with a nice straight up and down, we'll bring that yellow line back in again. Let's back it up to the setup. This is where I wanted him to end up. At the power line. You can see that he sways off of it and then never gets back to it at all. As a matter of fact, he's actually moving the wrong way. The right hip should be up on that red line. Instead, clearing everything out of the way. You see where he is? This is moved that way. Let's watch this swing in slow motion to start with. What did you see? Really, really nicely, like the rhythm and tempo was really good. How low the hands are. The hands should be up here, parallel to that yellow line. I'll draw the other yellow line in. Line, our hands will be up there. Our tendency is to kind of pull in and be afraid of letting the club go. The reason the shaft is tapered, it's bigger at the end that you're holding than the other end, is so it won't slip out of your hands. Trust that it was made correctly. Hold it lightly. Let the club head move on the natural arc. Think that the club shaft is just a piece of rope. You're trying to keep that piece of rope long. With most golfers, especially amateurs, the big issue is the collapsing of the left wrist and letting the club what we call flip. There's no fishing golf, so we don't want any flippers going on. So watch really closely. What we're going to do is going to isolate on the hands. See the position he's in right there? You can see, I'm going to blow it up so you can really see it. You can see the back of the left hand, the palm of the right hand. Now as he moves onto the swing, comes through, still see the back of the left hand, but I never, hardly, ever get to see the palm of the lead hand. See where he is here? You've got a double breakdown. You've got, I'm going here, here, and there. It should be a straight line out to about here. So that the palm of the lead hand, in this case the left hand, is pointing to the camera and is extended down the line. It's one of the toughest things to break. And you don't break it by stopping something. You break it by starting something, and that starting is learning to extend the left arm as far as you can right after impact. So right now, I'd like to see that left arm straight down that line right there. This golfer's got some good athleticism, but we're going to try to work on giving her a little better technique. She's pretty new to the game. The one issue she has is probably very common with most of us, is that we have a tendency to move stuff that we shouldn't be moving. In this case, the head. People are always saying keep your head down, but we got to figure out what causes the head to go up. The head can't go up by itself because it's attached to the rest of our body. So let's watch what happens if she goes back. Real good there. Real good there. And then up. Why is she going up? Well, where else is she going to go? She's trying to get her arms up where they belong, but up by turning the right shoulder up and the left shoulder down. If she'd have done that, she wouldn't have lifted her hips so much. See how much is there? Now she's straight up and down. Now, what's interesting is that she's now got everything on plane except her shoulder turn. The shoulder, I'll do it in the red line so you can see it pretty easy. Shoulder's that way. The shoulder needs to be on the same line as that lead forearm. The right shoulder, right elbow is perfectly put on this bottom swing plane line. So she comes back down, comes way outside, see that? Never gets her shoulders rotated through. Good contact. Now she's turning her shoulders. See how nicely she turned her shoulders through? We know we can do that. She ended up nice. Look at the finish position right here. That's pretty good. Right knee to left knee, everything's rotated. Good job. So we're just going to work a little bit on the technique on the takeaway. Al has a very simple, very compact, and very efficient swing. Stays balanced, swings smooth and easy, never rushes it. Well, hardly ever rushes it. Really has a nice swing. Let's take a look at it in slow motion. Takeaway. Right down through the middle, right onto the finish. One thing I'd like to see him do is drop the club head a little bit more behind him on the way down. But he's in a pretty good shape on the way through. No up and downs, no bouncing, stays on his feet. Good job. This is a setup flaw we see in a lot of amateur golfers. They set up with the trail side flat and the lead side with a bend in it. I'd like to see the lead side like that. The lead shoulder should be back over the lead knee and hip. It shouldn't be in an arc like that. What's going to happen is in his takeaway, in order to be able to rotate it all, he's going to get there. He's going to do it by sliding off. See how the head's moved? There's where he should be at setup. If he's there at setup, he's going to be in a great position. But because he slid off, now he's got to figure out how to get back. And you see, look at the golf shaft. And look at the face of the club. It's almost pointing directly at the camera. That means the right hand is underneath the golf club. Let's clear everything out of the way. I have to say this to a lot of my students. You got to have the palm of the right hand at the ground. The back of the left hand at the ground. Notice this is just the opposite. You can see the palm is straight up in the air. Straight up, still up in the air. The palm is up in the air. Finally pulls it over, but he can't get any extension because of that. He's already hit the ball. And unfortunately, he's going to hit it with a fairly open face. It's going to go real high. Because the more open the face is, the higher the ball's going to be hit because there's more loft. You see, he's hitting it way on the top of the head, too. And often weakly to the right it goes, and he's stuck. He got no rotation here. And instead of ending up with a nice straight up and down, we'll bring that yellow line back in again. Let's back it up to the setup. This is where I wanted him to end up. That's the power line. You can see that he sways off of it and then never gets back to it at all. As a matter of fact, he's actually moving the wrong way. The right hip should be up on that red line. Instead, clear everything out of the way. You see where he is? This is moved that way. Let's watch this swing in slow motion to start with. What did you see? Really, really nicely, like the rhythm and tempo was really good. See how low the hands are? The hands should be up here, parallel to that yellow line on the road. Line, our hands will be up there. Our tendency is to kind of pull in and be afraid of letting the club go. The reason the shaft is tapered. It's bigger at the end that you're holding than the other end, so it won't slip out of your hands. Trust that it was made correctly. Hold it lightly. Let the club head move on the natural arc. Think that the club shaft is just a piece of rope. You're trying to keep that piece of rope long. This golfer really struggles. She's a new golfer, but she really struggles with her hand position. Notice how high they are. We'd like to see the club and the hands be at about 144 degrees. So if you look at her setup, she's going to have a hard time doing that because you have to have her hands, club shaft on about that line, and the club on that arms on that line. So she'd have to back up a little bit. Her hands are really high. As a matter of fact, they're at a negative angle instead of a positive angle. Let's get this out of the way. So I'm talking to her as we're doing this. Come on, get your hands down, get your hands down. She gets confused, trying to figure out how to do that. I'm trying to walk out. I know you'd rather look at her than my fat body, but there she goes. Now she got them down. Now watch, she's going to sneak them back up again, I'll bet you. There they go, there they go, up, 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 up. When she gets them down at least a little bit, she has a much better chance at having a nice swing. Gets a better result. Not that time. She didn't get them down. You have to have those hands down low. She's going to struggle on that, and one of these days, she'll figure it out. This is a brand new golfer. I think her first day of swinging a golf club. We had her spend about probably 45 minutes just learning how to hit the ground. Now we put some tees in the ground and kind of work a little bit on rhythm and tempo. We have her walk up the line and try to hit one tee after the other to get a feeling of a repeatable, simple rhythm. So let's go ahead and watch it in slow-mo. I like to see your hands a little further forward. Not a bad turn there. Click, made the shot, swings back. From this angle, we can see the golfer is a little bit open on the chest. The legs are okay, but I'd like to see the lead arm a little higher than the trail arm. Yeah, that'd be the ideal. So when he goes back, we get to see a nice space between the lead arm and forward arm. Not much of a space. Now also notice what's going on. His hands are moving further away from him. So what he's doing at this point here is he's moving his hands considerably more than he's rotating his shoulders. Club's way outside the hands. Gets into a pretty good position right there. And drops the club down to the inside. That's what I like. The club head is not going outside the hands too much. Now at this point right here, the club shaft should be parallel to that trail arm. It goes a little high. It's parallel to the lead arm. I would say 90% of the amateur golfers are in that position. Very few are in the position where that club is parallel to the trail arm. It's going to create a little over-the-top move. See how the club comes out over the top of the swing plane instead of under it? So it's not an efficient delivery of the power head. So you don't get the power you want to have that you get coming from the inside. But again, if we go back to here, see how he's taking the club so high on the outside. I'd like to see a lot more turn, and then I want to see him learn how to drop the club down to the ball. Same golfer. Right side, just the practice swing. Left side is just the hit swing. We'll see some differences right away. See a setup difference. Believe it or not, I prefer the setup on the right. When you're chipping, it's more of a putting stance rather than the hands being down so low. The other thing you'll notice is I've synced them up pretty close, is I want you to watch what happens. Watch the nose, the golfer's nose. Look how it's sitting right there. Now watch what happens as she comes through. The nose is moved. Look at the focus there on the right. Much more focused. Also, look at the angle of the shoulders. See that? And this side she's down. This side she's not quite as down. And as she turns through, look at the head now. Where's the nose? The nose is still looking down where that golf ball was, or should have been. She's already looked away here. That's the difference. You have to stay focused. This is like a putt. Annika Sorenstam used to say, don't see the ball go in the hole, listen to it go in the hole. Same thing with a chip. Don't try to see it land on the green. Hear it land on the green, then watch it roll into the hole. This kind of golfer you want to have on your scrambles team. The guy's always going to be down the middle, always going to be reasonably long, not the longest hitter. But you can count on him to put a ball in play. He's your leadoff hitter. He hits one down the middle, everybody else can go for it. I like his setup. It's simple, it's balanced, his swing is efficient and effective. That's what I like on a golf swing. Let's draw this spine tilt in, club shaft in. We'll undo that one. Draw it in. Club shaft. Pretty good setup. Nice and easy takeaway. Watch how smooth this is. Right on the line. Look at that. Classic. Gets his lead arm right up there on the shaft plane. A little over the top here, but not bad. Pulls up a little bit, but not bad. But mainly gets right back. It's hard to tell sometimes. Is he at setup or is he at impact? Right on through. Look at the ball flight. Straight as an arrow every time. As long as he can keep working on the rhythm and the tempo and the balance, he's going to be fine. I'm wondering when he's going to start looking for power. I hope he never does. See you next week.